Hi, welcome back to Ache Attorney. That's like a different game. That's like where everyone's just in pain and they're screaming and like that's all it is. But like you're still an attorney.
I mean, that's just like Ace Attorney of far enough in the future that Phoenix Wright has back pain.
Ache Attorney, where you play as Winston Payne's family bloodline.
Oh, there you go. You got there. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation, examination, proclamation, declaration, investigation. Various misgivings.
I think I was the left and right
You sure were.
witnesses. I only carried 4 passengers that night. I swear it.
Well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus.
Oh no, the voice of doing this was like, he fiddled us on the fare, he did, and then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much.
That's correct. I tell you, I saw McGill stab that man. Everything I said before stands.
Oh, yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes.
What do you mean you think so? Counsel, make sense of this for me, please.
The phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cousinage.
Beppo, explain yourself.
I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster.
The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. And am I to understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare?
It's so cold. The last run of the day is always half empty.
You have been dishonest, coachman.
I'm so sorry.
You're a disgrace, Beppo. A disgrace. And your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild.
If I may, sir. I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week.
What?
4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently.
No, that figures. Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please.
We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games.
Well, if by parlor games you mean my job, then yeah. Absolutely.
This is probably where they're gonna hit us with the, like, catch another person's reaction.
This is probably where they're gonna hit us. Meanwhile, the guy just comes across the bench and slaps me.
Damn.
Yeah, I just realized that was actually, yeah, maybe. So there are only 4 passengers on your carriage, but you didn't charge them the standard 4 pence. Is that right? That's an interesting face.
I think he's just been doing that, though.
I love his face.
It's impossible to beat the last run of the day, Pepe. It was so cold, and it was all I could do to stop myself from passing out.
I'm getting chillblains just looking at you.
Listening to.
Listening to you.
It was just terrible, so I wanted to give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running. Doesn't a dedicated coachman deserve an extra penny per passenger?
Oop, I didn't mean to do that. If I may, Mr. Fairplay. What are you fossicking for now? That last statement appears to have given you pause for thought. Not really. By the way, you always seem to be looking to the side, one way or another. Do you have some affliction? Not really. I just realized what his joke is. He's like those paintings, which are just side profiles.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's not really willing to say anything, it seems. It's none of your business, anyhow. Okay, so that doesn't actually hurt you.
I think it might like kick you out of the press early.
Yeah, it does. Let's go back. Nope. You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. If only there'd been a fifth passenger on the omnibus that night. Then we would have had another suspect. £5 for the bus, huh? Does that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4?
Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir.
And I just told you that I did. Okay.
The fare 5 pence across the board.
Okay. It's not something to be proud of.
The so-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of the sort. Much like the phantom killer you so desperately needed, it's gone, dead and buried.
I'd have been happy if it had even existed in the first place. Hold it! This blood-curdling sight, you mean the murder, I presume?
Yes, sir.
A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man the moment his life is taken.
Oh, well, not exactly, sir.
That's weird.
Stop shaking.
That's not a. That's a very un-Beppo-y thing.
Excuse me.
Well, Mr. Beppo.
No, me,
Oh,
sir.
me, sir?
That's not me. Do you have something to add in relation to that last statement?
Well, sir, there is just this one thing, sir. I was wondering what's going to become of my omnibus, sir, after the trial.
What do you mean?
I can't help wondering, will no one want to ride in a cursed carriage someone was killed in? Or will everyone want to ride in it? Yes, the cursed carriage can become an attraction, maybe. It could be a sink or swim moment for me. Oh, yes, I think it will be.
Oh, there's his eyes. Well, if you could just focus on the testimony for the time being, please. Hold up. Well, now we need to go back.
Hold it!
I think Beppo does just randomly stop shaking sometimes.
I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Good gracious, really?
We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it.
Huh. But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant.
I heard the baker gent next to me take a sharp intake of breath, see? That's when I looked through the glass.
Okay.
That's when I saw that horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood.
Okay.
Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating.
I tell you, Skyrim belongs to the Nords. So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him? Your father, the Black Panther, is your father? That's what I said, isn't it? It was bothering me before this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway,
There was only the two of them inside the carriage, wasn't there?
Okay.
There's been much talk of a fifth passenger, but as yet, zero evidence.
And what are we wasting all this time for, eh? It's black and white. The man's guilty.
Huh. Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. Wish I could work out what it was.
Hold it!
Okay. Hey, earlier, you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Okay. Well, you said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice pick grip.
I suppose. I might have, yes. But put the cart before the horse, maybe.
Do you think it's weird that he's just not giving a side
think-
profile anymore?
I think it just leaves it at whatever the last expression they did was.
Yeah. So if it changes, that's when I look over.
Yeah.
What's this?
Well, I'm quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats of the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir.
Oh,
This is
wait,
what
wait,
I
he looked
tur-
over.
Yeah.
Unless he was looking over because he spoke.
Yeah, maybe. Then when I turned around, yes, I saw it through the skylight. The gentleman was on the floor, and the knife was sticking up out of his midriff. That's right, yes. And the fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes.
So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all.
I really thought I did, but...
I think I know what's going on here. I think Mr. Fairplay is like a lie detector, and he'll look at somebody when they're, like, lying or not lying. I could be wrong.
But when I could go over it again in my head... No, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I?
Ow.
Oh, they made it obvious, okay.
Okay, well, now I feel a little dumb.
Excuse me.
What's that about, sir? I like jump scared me. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now you listen to me. That's a different voice.
I know what you're thinking. You didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Hey?
Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. Might be able to extract some new information out of him if I answer cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed?
Some
days
days
are
are like that.
Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on the top of the omnibus, that is.
Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as a Ballarat day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Fairplay.
Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord.
I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw.
No, I could do that all right. I'll tell you how grim it was.
Do you think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after the butcher stabbed the man? Well, he was wearing gloves, so, I mean, it wouldn't have been blood-soaked.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, bud, but, I don't think that's happening. Blood-soaked hands, huh?
Well, I admit that soaks might be laying it on a bit thick, but... Well, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it.
Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar.
What?
Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question.
Oh, yes, right.
And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain here. But, as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. Well, okay, I guess that's also kind of a fair point.
I guess because you could argue that if you're like, oh well, he was wearing gloves. It's like, okay, well, I meant his hands.
Yeah.
Because his hands did have blood on them, kind of, just not literally. But yeah, it being in only one glove. Yeah.
He's like a chipmunk.
A little bit, yeah.
In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent.
Yeah. But, no, that can't be right.
So you're the liar here, then?
God.
Is that me?
Yes, that is you.
That's right, you were quite clear about it. You said, "Hyarg," it was both hands.
And you got the voice right, too. Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire questimony into question.
Into testion.
Questimony sounds like a fun game. Testimony in a question. You say you saw the moment of the victim when he was stabbed, but is that really the truth?
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands, it was only one, but the fact remains.
Now's when we're going to bring up that it was gloves.
The victim's blood was on the accused.
No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated he saw blood covered all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court.
Ah! Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate.
Prevaricate. Oh, that's the word. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case?
Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely.
Well, something to show this man had compelling reason to lie in his testimony. I have the evidence. My lord?
Yes, counsel.
The defense is ready to present evidence.
Oh, by Jove, are you sure?
Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony.
I think there's not evidence, and he's not lying. It's just that he saw, like, the real killer. You know?
Maybe.
Unless his name is in the fucking booklet. If his name is in the booklet, then fair enough. The booklet being the last piece of evidence.
Yeah.
So, we could check that to see if that's the case.
Now we can. This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry.
Oh dear, do you really think we ought to look inside?
Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, is it? Apart from a great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder.
I assure you we will not find Mr. Sholm's name inside.
Well, let's see what we find. Can't read that shit. Turn up
Gosh, it's
anti-aliasing.
crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it?
I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen's after all, are they? They're poor. They're in debt. After all, not everyone in this country is well off.
Ah, goodness!
What is it?
Look at this. Do you see the name here? Bruce Fairplay. Yup.
Should that mean something to me? I mean, it does sound strangely familiar, actually. Buddy, you're fucking, like, talking to him right now.
Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment.
Oh, yeah, of course, the banker. Why is his name in here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, didn't he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible
that this is just coincidence, of course. But this could be very useful information.
Nice.
Yep. Alright.
I had to have looked at that.
Well, very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence and stop reading the book. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness is alleged deception from this court.
Well, this is a list of debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded that I just read 5 seconds ago.
Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused's extortion.
Base as fuck. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused?
No, well, it's barely worth being called a debt.
According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say?
Well, what of it?
Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case?
These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, with the creditor and the defendant here to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts were to be owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist.
Cease to exist?
Well, Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw? In a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant?
Order, order, order. Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
Yes, my lord.
Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have the most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time in which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim?
Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony.
All right, let's not make a melodrama out of this. I did overstate the truth a pinch.
A pinch.
But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on Mr. McGilded's hands, both of them.
Objection!
Well, and yet, only 2 of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, only 1 of the gloves is stained. That.
So you keep saying.
Oh, look, an Emily character. Saying
Oh,
dot.
I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. First.
Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself as it happens.
Seeing what?
The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one.
What?
What?
Mr. Naruhodo, you've been shot.
It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all your witnesses. This time we would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear?
Yes.
Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last.
Yeah. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. More testimony. What the witnesses really saw. 1 second. Okie dokie.
There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctively remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired. If that matters.
I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attackers' hands with blood on them. I didn't actually see anything myself, though, not until I heard that scream.
Anyway, the fact remains, there couldn't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or else we all would have seen him.
Well, lo and behold, in truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated.
I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside the carriage. That man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it.
That's really not what testimony is about.
Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witness's accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case.
Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel.
Yes, my lord. Okay. Let's see what we got here.
I'm assuming that unless something pops out, we'll probably have to present the omnibus to the line that says there's no way there could have been anyone else, and then we say, actually, there's like a hole in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's go through the pressing anyways.
Sure. No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in the question in the court record.
I'm well aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands.
He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw. But why?
Your reasoning is dire. One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers.
Hold it!
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance, as well you know.
But crying out loud, we all know that no one else could possibly have done it. I was just trying to save us all some time.
You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Had you hoped to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty?
Well, that's not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I barked up the wrong horse in the derby, that's all. I was going to win it all back. There's a fixture this weekend that's a sure thing.
A little guinea or 10.
I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend.
I think another crime is occurring in my courtroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir.
This witness's scruples are not on trial here.
Yes, but they're next on the docket.
Proceed to the next witness.
Is it really how it's supposed to work?
I remember seeing the knife, and
No, that was a line. That was
Alright,
already read.
alright, we already read those. Yeah.
Yeah. You definitely saw that too? Blood on both hands?
Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGillen's gloves has any signs of blood on it.
That's right.
The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, When I looked down and saw Mr. McGilded sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir.
He wasn't wearing those gloves?
That's correct, sir, and I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly.
It's true that the dark-colored stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see.
I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilded's gloved hands.
There wasn't blood on his hands?
Hey, look at that! He told that he helped us with the truth, even though it wasn't helpful to hear.
Yes. Yeah.
This is puzzling indeed.
This must be significant somehow. I'm sure of it.
Alright, I already read this.
Yeah.
Hold it!
You didn't see anything.
Oh, yes, sir. That is to say, no, sir, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and to say I saw him stab the man. Wouldn't you agree, sir?
I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories.
Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it?
No, sir. I saw nothing at all.
Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, well, you must have enjoyed a good view of London streets now.
Ellipses.
Ellipses. Oh, please. You didn't even see that.
It was so cold that night, you see. It was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was barely frozen solid. So sorry to say, sir. It would seem prudent to avoid travel in the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights.
Beppo!
Yeah, let's press this, but that's where probably the point of attack is. And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight of the roof of the omnibus?
That's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over.
Oh yes, I remember I was shivering. It was so bitter.
Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place.
No, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin.
No, why not?
It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door.
It was locked?
That's right, and it's a public bus service for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play.
He said, "Woo!"
I'm a family guy. Don't.
I considered it. Oh right, yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below.
Well, I can assure you I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring, long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you I saw with absolute confidence that if there was anyone else in that cabin, I would have noticed.
Unequivocal, I would say.
I'm not so sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight?
Might not have been able to.
No. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight in the floor of the upper deck. Is that right?
That's right, yes.
In that case... there's a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you.
What?
By golly, really?
Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh.
Very well, I uphold the prosecution's demand. We'll identify the area of this cross-examination's section plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that the potential extra passenger could have been situated?
Take that!
Here, my lord. In this location, an extra passenger could have been completely hidden from view.
Objection!
If you believe that to be true, counsel, then may I suggest you attempt to conceal yourself there.
Sorry.
And here's to you never seeing the light of day again. It might have been the other seat.
Whatever's in the hollowed chalice has a very bitter aftertaste.
It pains me to say it, Mr. Naruhodo, but that was, well, bitterly disappointing.
There's some bitterness in the air, it seems, but I'm sorry I selected the wrong bench.
Perhaps you'd like to reconsider, counsel. You identified the area. Blah, 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 blah.
Sorry, it was the other one. My mistake. Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of the travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the sky. Okay, fair enough. This is as I've drawn here.
Ah,
That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one of which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, well, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it.
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity.
Bro, you can't say that.
At least he's using, like, the actual, like, regional term instead of the external term for the nation. That's at least something.
I just think he doesn't know the word Japanese. If he did, he would say that.
Yeah, very possibly.
I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude.
Can you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Put a name? I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses in the roof deck? I have an inkling.
I have an inkling.
Why? No reason. We'll shoot.
I mean, you can check.
People.
Yeah.
It was male Strongheart.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have a name for it.
We don't really have a name for them, no.
There literally, like, aren't options, is the thing.
Yeah. It was Susato. Oh, hey, she turned 16 over the course of the boat ride.
I thought she already was.
No, she was 15, I thought. Am I wrong? Oh no, she was 16. It was the one girl who was 15. Yeah. Yeah, I got no idea. I have literally no idea.
But as a proud citizen of the Japanese Empire, you will look to the sky and walk on, making sure all signs of tears are gone. Go on.
This isn't just a case of going on, Mrs. Sato.
weirdly uncanny about her expression change and stare.
Right then, I'll go on. That's like an intimidating face.
Yeah.
It's like optimism, but you're like, I don't know. Okay. All right. The defense would like to put forward a name.
You are a fool. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations.
Actually, it was the response of a man who's afraid of his help.
A toast to hard lessons not yet to learn.
Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat.
Well, this could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn this trial in my favor. That night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was...
Oh, you know what? It's fucking McGilded, because they were seeing the killer sat next to the victim, right? They were saying that they never saw him wearing gloves. And then he hides in the compartment after doing the deed.
Gotcha. The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witness of the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded.
Mr. McGilded?
What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
What is a man?
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy.
Quick, pick up the heart and or turkey leg that dropped out of it.
Yeah.
Lord Von Zeeks! That was really attractive. Do it again.
People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own.
Bro, you can't say that!
But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly.
Alright, time to cancel them. What are you trying to say?
Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand.
My goodness.
When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built.
But that premise may be wrong.
What?
If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way.
What inconsistency, counsel?
The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Well, the point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance.
Yes, the testimony remains unchanged.
Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. Well, in short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. There was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we've yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And who was this third party?
I don't know. Obviously, the true culprit is what I meant.
Extraordinary. Order, order, order. What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defense's postulation is just that, nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplace said the two of them were wearing hats, and couldn't exactly make out their faces.
Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though.
Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir.
And what a particular style of hat did these two gentlemen spot, Mr. First?
I'm afraid I don't remember.
And you call yourself a hatter.
The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin.
Counterpoint, Mr. Zeeks. Look at this fucking hat.
Yeah, I bet that's what's about to be brought up.
How can you be sure?
Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. Gilded, would undoubtedly have offered to depose the fact. Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation.
That runs my blood.
That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled.
He's right. There was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. It's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it.
Order! There's clearly a simple solution to this problem.
Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand.
Well, what say you, counsel?
The prosecution objects, my lord.
On what grounds?
As a suspect, he will have already made a full statement to the police.
But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely?
Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act.
Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion?
My lord, should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify or not? Yes, absolutely. Frame 1 that. Yeah, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand.
In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury.
Yes, I need a little time to consider this.
If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say. Get the man out here, I say!
It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony.
When something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild.
Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say. Oh yes, that would be lovely.
Yes, the jury says the man must be heard.
Very well. The court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once.
And now, if it would actually happen that night, will finally become clear.
Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day?
Be sure I have, my lord.
There are now two matters in which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin, as proposed by the defense. And the second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police?
Egad, no. It is not in my nature to hide anything at all.
Just answer the questions, please.
Oh, the truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell you all, or do I keep my mouth shut?
Tell us what, Mr. McGilded.
The fine fellow representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger.
It's true.
Aye, and 'twas me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened.
You... What? So he's an accomplice.
No, Magnus McGilded, that convenient excuse can't save you now.
Oh, I'm truly sorry, so I am, Lord Von Zinks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know I said nothing when I was talking to the police. I do believe I'd be having a very good reason, I assure you.
Which was?
Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see.
What?
Oh, if the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into this here courtroom, just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord.
And who was this young child of whom you speak?
That I don't know.
You don't know.
Aye, well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before.
Objection!
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witnesses' statements to be disregarded by the court.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in the courtroom as we speak, listening to these proceedings. Don't follow my eyes. What?
Smoke! Ah, fire! There's fire! Look, someone's trying to get away!
After them! It's no use. I can't say anything to
All the smoke! What's going on?
Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus.
Secure the omnibus? What do you mean secure the omnibus? They're not going to take the omnibus out of the court. There's no horses attached to it.
I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom.
Oh my. We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. Alright. Not sure where this is going, but a smoke bomb happened.
I thought that, like, somebody was just gonna fucking, like, get shot and killed in the courtroom, and I was like, holy shit, they're going there with Ace Attorney now, huh?
That would certainly be cool. But, they
Yeah?
haven't gone there yet. That would probably... No, it'd still be a T rating, I think.
It's still murder, like, whether it's in a courtroom or not.
Yeah. What on earth just happened in there?
Mr. Naruhodo, I've managed to find out what happened in there.
Mrs. Otto.
I was told that it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke.
A smoke grenade. It sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use.
I'm just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long.
But who would have done something like that?
The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently.
Flee the courtroom? Why?
Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear.
A young girl. And could it be the other passenger that Mr. McGilded was just talking about?
My thoughts exactly.
So he wasn't lying. Oh, what's become of Mr. McGilded, actually? There's so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here.
I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions, along with the young girl.
Who is she, I wonder? What was she even doing here in the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself?
There's another matter that's troubling me.
And what's that?
The 20 pence.
Huh? Oh,
According to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly.
but now it seems that there were in fact 5 passengers.
Which means the figures don't seem to add up again.
She's right. That is strange.
Counsel to the defense, kindly proceed into the courtroom. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you, officer. We'll go in straight away.
Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial.
No, soon enough, Mrs. Otto.
Yes.
Oh. There's the young girl next to Mr. McGilded. Look. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before.
Well, after that rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilded. Now then, Lord Von Zeeks,
My lord.
I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier.
It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade, of the sort typically employed by the army.
Good gracious, the army! What in the devil's name?
It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught.
I'm very glad we're giving armed ballistics to the young these days.
Train 'em young. And now occupies the stand.
Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium here in my courtroom? What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior?
Ahem, if I may, my lord.
Yes, Mr. McGill.
I think perhaps I ought to explain here. Why it is with this wee lass was here in the first place. Why she tried the boat like that. It is all tied up with the events of the last night, so it is.
Very well, Mr. McGilded, give your testimony. You explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in the case.
Just what did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything.
On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, begorra, a loud thundering scream woke me up with a fair start. There was this fella collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. Then I turned out to find where the scream had come from, and bless my soul, what I find? Why, there was a child in there all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away.
I remain somewhat baffled, I confess. But from what I gather on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding the omnibus, is that correct?
No, 'tis exactly as the defense claims. This last was the 5th passenger, my lord.
I like her design.
Yeah.
Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Are you ready, counsel?
Yeah, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. I'm guessing we have to keep pressing until she responds to something.
Hold it!
And when you first got into the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board? They were not. The cabin was empty. There was no one on the roof deck either. Oh, I can't even pan out of her door.
You were the first passenger, as it were. I see.
Aye, and that's not why I took the back side as I did. 'Tis the most comfortable, so it is. Could you explain exactly what you meant by the back seat? By all means. 'Tis how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite the one in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, 'tis the most comfortable and where I feel most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. Then Bigora.
Hold it!
A loud thud, you say, and a scream. Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? It was like the sound of someone falling to the ground. That sort of noise. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor having been stabbed? Well now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me up and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fellas on the floor. But the fella on the floor. Not plural. You didn't see anyone. But at the same moment you did hear a scream.
Ah, from the seats above you on the roof deck, I presume.
Not above me, my lord. 'Twas from inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether tinking about the scream. Oh, thinking. Okay. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before my eyes.
Hold it!
You sat him up, the victim, you mean? That I did. On the seat across from me, as I said. I could plainly see the poor devil had already gone. And you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would you?
You probably would.
'Tis common courtesy, so it is. How commonly do you see a dead body?
I find that a little hard to believe.
Oh, Lord von sakes. Now why would that be?
You wake to find a man lying dead at your feet in a carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is.
Well now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business.
The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest.
No, unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offer them, and some would even rather see me dead. So I do try, where at all possible, to avoid getting myself tangled with trouble. Are you suggesting you were just going to leave the man there? Heavens alive, no! I was always intended to report it, so I was. Only I had a mind to find the whys and wherefores first. The whys and wherefores? Right, you all. There was some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Won't your good self do just the same? Huh. Yeah. The scream he says he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing. I turned to find out where the scream had come from.
Hold it!
I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except yourself and the victim. So I did, sir, so I did. As far as I could see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well now, 'tis a queer thing. The wee scream I heard as I woke up.
So am I, it ain't special.
It came from, if you'll excuse the vulgar expression, under my backside.
Good gracious.
Under your backside? And when I lifted the seat on I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubby hole there for storage.
Mr. Naruhodo, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember?
Already
Oh wait,
did.
we did this immediately and have been fucking knowing this was going to be the twist the entire fucking time.
Yeah, of course. The whole bus was submitted as evidence.
This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside.
And that's when I found her. There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball.
Hold it!
You say she was hiding herself? Oh, that's right. 'Twas hard to see in the dim lamplight. But she was all curled up in a wee ball, and her eyes met it. Well, I nearly stopped beating in my chest. Ugh, you're really overreacting this. Still, I pulled her out from over there. Not overreacting, overacting. And sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chit-wag with her. Chin-wag. The seat opposite? That's right. Just next to the dead gentleman there.
You sat this young girl next to a corpse, sir.
Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream. A fella's voice this time. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck. Right you are again, I would say so, sir.
I wonder if maybe the killer is actually fucking Bruce Fairplay, and he could have dropped a knife through the skylight. I don't think it's glass.
Well...
I don't really think we have.
Stabbed once in the abdomen.
So if he was already on the, he'd have to already have been on the floor. But if he was on the floor for some reason,
That would be a weird... Yeah, he would had to have... He couldn't have been sitting the way he was for the knife to fall that way.
yeah. Well, he died on the floor, and then Mr. McGill had said that he pulled him up onto the seat.
Yeah. Also, I'm not sure that, like, the force of gravity would drive the knife in that deep.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. I mean, if you like threw it down, but
Yeah, if you, like,
Maybe
yeeted
not.
it, then sure, that would work.
yeah, maybe. I don't know, just a random thought I had.
Yeah. Now, if you were an
'Cause-
ultimate,
because-
then you could definitely have done that.
Because it seems like the fifth passenger probably isn't the killer.
Yeah.
So,
Looking down through the skylight, he must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with a knife in his belly.
In other words, the previous witness did not, in fact, see you at all, Mr. McGill. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was, in fact, this girl and the late Mr. Mason.
Aye, my lord. I was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage out of sight.
It is certainly plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature, and readily confused, perhaps, with this young girl.
After that, of course. With the scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses.
Thank you. I've heard enough. The events as explained are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is this girl?
Her name is Gina Lestrade.
Lestrade?
Lestrade?
Yeah,
Gina
I think.
Lestrade. Gina Lestrade. Gina Lestrade. Gina Lestrade.
Like-
Lestrade?
I was thinking like someone who is like astray, like led astray,
Lestrade?
led astray, you know.
Led astray. Yeah, okay. That actually makes more sense, yeah. She's a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. What?
This girl here? A petty thief? With smoke grenades, Jesus Christ. Order, order. Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. Jesus Christ! How dare you! It's poison! What is the meaning of this? The girl, she's gone!
Open your eyes. I'm over here.
Good gracious, how?
What was the point in that little sidestep?
I know what you lot are thinking. Grown-ups are all the same. This dirty little dipper, you'll say, slipped up and got caught on the job. She got herself backed into a corner, so she knifed the gent. Go on, that's what's in your heads, ain't it?
No, not at all. This is a court of law. We're up here to determine the truth, not Wait, why's that green this time? Wow, he was unfazed.
Look, knives are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons like that. All I need for what I do is these fingers. I'm a professional, alright? Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do.
Don't we all? I don't. Let me guess, you don't count
I do.
smoke guns. Well, that's great, actually. That sounded really, like... No, actually, that's really cool. You don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs.
Oh, this? Yeah, this was in a bag I lifted the other day, down where they keep the four-wheel drags. It's nice, isn't it? I like the best.
Do not wave that thing in my direction again.
So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question.
He is all right, lass. You can tell him the truth now.
Alright, yeah, it's just like the Irishman said.
This court accepts this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness in this case.
17. Okay.
Accordingly, young lady will now hear your testimony, if you please. You will tell the court exactly what happened to the omnibus on the night in question.
Alright, if I have to.
What the girl saw.
So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like always. But it was alright, all waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I'll tell ya, you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then after a while, I heard this loud bang. Nearly jumped out of me skin, I did, and the scream just came out. It's 'cause of that this swell found me. He did help me get away, mind.
Yeah, he let you go.
I fail to understand why you would let this street urchin go, Mr. McGillicuddy.
No, 'tis simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. How, exactly? As I'm sure I said before, sir. I was sitting right on top of this place where she was hiding herself. I think our demonstration's called for.
It really isn't. I get it, man.
This is where I sat that night.
And the cubby hole for which you have spoken to is underneath this seat, I presume. Yes, it does appear just large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature.
Aye, but of course the wee lass was stuck in there. Because I'd parked myself on the seat for her duration.
Ah,
So you see, that's why I let the last boat. I knew that if the police found her, they'd automatically assume that she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself, knowing if a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent.
even though you must have realized your actions would result in your own innocence being called into question.
Not at all, my lord, not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking a punt on my own good name's sake, for the sake of the less fortunate lass.
My goodness. What a perfect gentleman.
What a crock of shit.
My lord, this fine example of a man can't possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir.
So the trial's over, right? Like we're done.
We got one more.
Wait, really?
Yep.
Oh, so you're right.
With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time.
Alright, we're done. I'm sure we're not done.
Well, if you're going to use crusty bullshit, I'm going to use crusty bullshit too. Now I get to do it.
Say it's alive. All 6 members of the jury
Oh my goodness, what happened to your voice?
all 6 members of the jury council and their leading to a verdict of not guilty.
Mr. Naruhodo, this, well, it must mean
It must mean what?
that we're victorious.
Well, we've won? Are you sure?
Objection!
Oh my
Ah,
goodness.
damn.
Yeah, I knew this was coming, by the way. But it's
I
still
actually
great.
did not know about this. If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends, pray do forgive the discourtesy.
My goodness.
Like how
Appropriate reaction.
this really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices.
The-
Where evidence and reasoning should be paramount, emotion rules the day.
Emotion.
The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature.
What do you mean, his true nature?
Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation.
To be fair, it does have a handle on it. It's very easy to find.
The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's noted in black and white here in the police report.
Good Lord.
The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilded's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat.
What?
Order, order. How could such a devious contrivance possibly have been effected, counsel?
Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend,
Huh? Me?
when the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail, as would any self-respecting practitioner of the law.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of the first thing I checked, huh?
Pray, what did you find the condition of the under-seat compartment to be?
There was coachman stuff there. Huh. Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry? Go ahead. You tell the court now, fella. How this is an all-elaborate excuse by the despot Lord Von Zeeks. Huh.
Well, counsel, do you have something to say on this matter?
How am I supposed to answer that? What can I say about the state of that little compartment under the seat in the omnibus? I did look. It wasn't empty. I really don't know if giving this answer is helping my cause as counsel for the defense. But as far as I remember, at least. When I first examined the compartment, I'm fairly certain there were a number of articles inside of it, yes.
Are you sure, counsel?
Be waxed. What do you say now, you daft doll? I thought you were on my side here.
What game are you playing? Your task is to defend the man in the stand. Why would you say something to compromise his position?
As the advocate for the defense in this trial, I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand. But it seems to me that I should state what facts I do know as clearly as honestly as possible.
Interesting.
'Tis not altogether pleasing, fella.
I'm simply telling the truth, Mr. McGilded.
Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing me best interest here, lad. Now then. The fella's memory's a curious thing and not altogether reliable. No, the court must consider the facts. That there cubbyhole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Well, do you perhaps think it would be in your best interest now to admit you might have been mistaken?
Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here? I should like the jury to weigh on this matter, I think.
That compartment's designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of a carriage. The guild's rules state that omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times. So it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night of the question. Beppo isn't that irresponsible. That moneylender inflator and the pick-purse are lying! God damn it.
I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The stinking rich are always stinkers, nothing but cowards, a lot of them.
What? 1 second.
Oh no.
It's a trick, of course it's a trick.
Bonk. We're gonna be at 3 and 3, aren't we?
Quite so. I must concur here.
They're as wishy-washy as, like, the background fish in Spongebob.
Yeah.
With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time.
Yeah, but every time's a different truth, it seems.
My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate.
Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, there is the matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please.
Yes, my lord.
What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted, almost beyond recognition.
The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem.
And I think this is a good place to leave it for the night.
What the girl saw? What the dog doing? Yeah. Probably she killed him.
I don't think so.
No, she didn't.
My running idea currently is that the luggage was actually the real killer in a bag, and then during the commotion they got out.
What if it was a snake?
Ah, again, yeah.
What if it was the what if this was the Russian princess dancer lady in the bag?
Maybe the Russian princess dancer lady is secretly the street urchin.
Well, that would be weird.